Hey guys, this is Luke here with another Bias Gamer video. Today we'll be doing part 2 of a 7-part series where I'm going to be doing an overview of every heavy tank in the Japanese tech tree. Well, yeah, every heavy tank in the Japanese tech tree. Today we're going to be doing the OI Experimental. Um, so yeah, let's just get this out of the way. So the OI Experimental, if I had to use one word to describe it, what would I choose? I would probably say exceptional. I don't know. It's a good tank, guys. This is a very good tank. Now, so what about this tank? So has 700 hit points, so it's up there. In fact, I think that it's probably tied for the most hit points. If it's not, it's pretty close up there. I think the Churchill one has 700, and I'm pretty sure the other tanks have a little bit less. Uh, its weight. My goodness, this tank weighs 100 tons, guys. 100 tons. And more than that, it weighs 100 tons, but its top speed is 40, which it will reach on the flat because you have a 1200 horsepower engine. This tank has 11 specific powers, so that's not impressive by any means, but at tier 5, this tank it'll get going. It's not like a Cromwell or anything crazy like that, but this is more nimble than a KV1. I'd say this is more because it's got decent traverse speed. Keep in mind this is all under the context that this is a behemoth of a tank. This tank is as large as this tank, the E100. So just bear that in mind. You're playing a tank the size of an E100. If not, even it's taller than an E100. So these new heavy tanks, they dwarf almost every other tank in its tier. So um what next? So we got, we already said traverse speed's pretty decent. Hull armor. Now, if you thought this would have good armor, you'd be mistaken. The KV1 just has pretty much the same profile, except the turret is more strong. But this tank just it won't bounce. And the reason for it is just the ridiculous proportions and how. So say you're angled like this, guys. There's no way to angle it where, so this whole upper part, unlike the KV1, which if you angled it 45 degrees, you'd probably get like 130 armor effective. No matter what, you're gonna get maybe 110, 90. The only armored part about this tank is right here, and that's only because of the sloping that already exists. But you don't have to take my word for it. I'll show you guys in a website real quick, tanks.gg or tanksgg. So 1 second. All right, so here it is, the OI experimental. Yeah, I'm using this website I don't want to use Tank Inspector because it's sketchy, I guess. This site does the same thing, except I don't have to download anything. So, but yeah, as you can see, we have very severe angles looking at this, and not even 100 effective. So, dead on, you got about 112 effective, but the whole upper part of your tank is less than 100. If you do a slight angle, you'll find yourself increasing it a little bit, but I wouldn't angle it any more than this, and even then. So you'll bounce some of the lower tier tanks, but anything past tier 5 is probably going to reliably penetrate. So, yeah. So what does that say about this tank? Is like how are you supposed to play this tank? Well, I'll tell you guys how, and very simply, it's just to keep the gun singing. It has a tier 6 gun. It does 300 average damage with 130 pen. So it shoots somewhat slow. It's not the fastest. It doesn't have the most DPM, but this tank it hits like a tank. um, you're gonna 3-shot most other heavies, sometimes even 2-shot them if you have decent high rolls. Uh, and you're gonna 2 or 1-shot just about anything that's below tier 5. So, a lot of tier 4 tanks, you'll just 1-shot. Um, this puts this tank in a very, very interesting position. Uh, I will say, we look at the tech tree, you've got some other options, but I wouldn't. Technically, this gun has more DPM, but this is the same type of gun that the Type 95 was using, and it's just not. It has a crazy bad, long and slow gun arc, so it's a little more accurate, sure, and it has a lot more. Well, not a lot. It has like 200 more DPM. It might be, if you guys are interested in that sort of thing, then maybe that's the gun for you. But honestly, I prefer high alpha damage guns. It puts you in a position where you're more likely to, say you only have a chance to hit an enemy for 1 shot. This gun's only going to do 124 damage or whatever. This gun's going to do 300. That might mean the difference between putting a gun out of play or letting him go for you to deal with later. That's why I like high alpha damage guns. That's why I'm using this one. I'm not even considering this one because I played this gun. I played it at tier 4 and I didn't like it very much. Well, at tier 4 it was alright, but this, in my opinion, this gun's the way to go. This engine was expensive. This was 27,000. So, but keep in mind, this engine also goes with every vehicle after. So the tanks only get heavier and slower, guys. I would recommend getting this engine before you get the OI. I mean, what is that grind? I mean, I've only played 34 battles and I've unlocked the engine and the OI. I just haven't spent the experience yet on the OI. So speaking of which, the average statistics here, average of, this is tier 5, guys, average of 869 experience per battle, average of 1,000 damage per battle, tier 5, 55% win rate. Yeah, I've killed, maximum destroyed 9. I've gotten, let's see, I've managed a Radley Walters. I've been close to getting a multiple Radley Walters, several Top Guns, and this is only with 34 battles. So keep that in mind. Like, I've barely played this tank, but it's very obvious how strong this tank is, and it all comes down to the gun. So how do you play the tank? How do you play it? Well, I'll show you guys in a couple of replays right now. Alright guys, so how do you play this tank? Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's not a heavy tank. This is... it's heavy in terms of weight, and supposedly its armor is comparable to the KV-1, but effectively this is not a heavy tank. This tank, you want to keep the gun singing as long as possible. That is the only way to play this tank. So that being said, you don't push. So what am I thinking right now? Well, I'm not going to go left. Left is the typical heavy tank lane, and what do they have on their team? They've got 4 tier 5 heavy tanks. I don't want any part of that. Each one of those tanks will pen me 9 times out of 10. I don't need that. What I need to do is go right and play cautiously. This tank isn't... If you want to do well in this tank, there are times when pushing is appropriate, but a majority of the times you don't want to be pushing in this tank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the right field where I'm more likely to run into mediums and tank destroyers. Things with less armor, lower health, less alpha guns. This is going to allow me to put my gun to better work, in my opinion. Now, you know, if you're good at poking, hitting people when they're not looking, hitting isolated tanks, all that stuff, you know, in this case, you can go left and, well, good luck. But I didn't want any of that, so here we are on the right side. Now, it's unfortunate, but this tank really is more of a camper's tank. If you want to do good in this tank, you need to let the gun do some work. So, first kill, 309 damage. That's the power of this. That's what I was talking about, the difference between this gun and the other one. Second kill, right here, 293. That's the difference between this gun and the other gun. Both of those might have been able to do some damage to me if it weren't for the high alpha on this gun. Do we get a shot on the M4? He's really feeling the pain now. Yep, he's going to back up. If he contests me again, he's going to... Wow, is he... Interesting. Now see guys, I just two-shot that M4. That's the strength in this tank. Now, I've already done 1,000 damage. I've gotten 3 kills. This is a tier 5 game, guys. Now we have an AT2 using HE shells. Now, if this were an AT2 using the actual normal gun, I'd be a little bit afraid. But as it is with the HE shells, this tank is massive. I forgot to mention, one of the things you might want to consider using on this tank is a super heavy spall liner. That's 50% protection against explosions, and your crew is 50% more protected, I think. I also have the large what do you call it? Large first aid kit. Yep. That way I get an extra 15%. My crew is more or less as safe as it can be in World of Tanks right now. Not only does it have all those buffs, see, that was a good shot. But again, the other gun wouldn't have been able to one-shot kill him just then. So we're up to 1,800 damage. The game's basically over. I just wanted to show you guys what this tank can do at tier 5. It shreks people is what it does. If you keep the gun alive, look, see now I hardly took any damage there, and that's largely in part due to the fact that a lot of the tanks I just took out of the game immediately. I didn't let tanks sit around and do damage to me. So that's that game. On to the next. Alright guys, I'm back, and now this is going to be the second of 3 games I'll show you guys. We're at tier 5 again. As you can see, our chances of winning aren't that great, and that will manifest itself rather quickly here. So here we go. Now, like I said in the last game, the trick to this tank is not to push with it. You don't want to be taking shots in this tank. This tank will not hold up. It just won't. So I missed the shot in the OI over here. We lose 1 tank, 2 tanks, 3 tanks. And shortly here, you'll see that we're going to lose a 4th pretty soon. So, yeah, things aren't looking that great. Not only that, but most of our team, you'll see, is gonna... They're just gonna camp. So, me playing this tank like you probably should, I'm taking the long route, and I'm trying to stay back. I know that their heavies are going there. I didn't have XVM on at the time, so I wasn't sure how good these tanks were on the other team, but I could tell that we weren't doing good. So there you go, 1-shot kill right there. just the benefit of having this tank. It's the same with a lot of these high alpha tanks. You don't need to expose yourself to do good work. Now we've lost half our team, and their team's only lost a little bit. KV1 foolishly pushed up the hill, and I'm unable to help him. So fortunately, he's not taking a lot of damage from the OI up there. If that were a competent OI, that KV1 would be... he'd be in a world of hurt right now. But he's not, and he's gonna die. Missed the Chiha, which is unfortunate. But if I'd hit him, that would have certainly been a one-shot. So I'm gonna be staying here for a little while. In hindsight, could I have pushed with the KV1 and possibly won the hill? Probably. I probably could have. I was just worried about running into an Excelsior and a VK30H and whatever else. And that's exactly what happens. The KV1 ends up falling to the Excelsior. If I was up there, maybe things would have been different, but with their artillery and everything, I thought it was too much of a risk for me and the KV1 to go up there alone, and so I didn't. Right here, you're going to bear witness to the ramming potential. It looked like I just tapped him, but nope. So with that, I managed to bring the game closer. We just lost the KV1, so the Excelsior took it, and I'm taking damage from the artillery. I used a repair kit because I know that was going to come in. It's a Birch gun and the Panzer 4B, so it's a whole lot of artillery, DPM, just little taps here and there. I'm already down half health. I've hardly done anything this game other than close the gap a little bit. Only 500 damage, but this is where things are gonna start going our way, so to speak. So the first big thing is the Excelsior. Now he is going to be a two-shot. I'm going to take damage. I'm juking and dodging the artillery. I get the kill shot, start backing up, missed, artillery missed, I curve, artillery misses, then I go forward, and artillery misses. So they're aiming for me. And it's really good that I dodged those shots. Every bit of HP you can save for late games like this is worth it. Now we're talking about a much, much closer game. The only problem is I've already lost so much health, mainly due to the artillery. I'm going to be typing in chat, trying to coerce my teammates into doing some spotting for me. As you can see in the mini-map, this tank's gun isn't that great. Oh, lining up a shot. Whammy. I find that despite the .41 accuracy this gun has, it does hit pretty reliably. Except when it's a VK30H and I just miss everything. If he'd stayed in render distance, I might have been able to hit him there. That's okay though. So we're going to speed this up because it's going to be a little while before anything happens. The T-67 is going to go kill some Arty, but he's going to die in the process. I think they trade blows. And then the waiting game begins. I took a blind shot at where I thought the Arty was, but he died anyway. I think he was behind a hill. Communicating with the AT-2 and the Arty, we get them to start moving up. They're going to spot. SU dies, AT-2 loses his courage. That's fine, I'm going to start moving up with him, using this this natural depression to my advantage. AT-2 is competent enough to kill the SU, and now we find out where their next Arty is. This tank's so big that I don't really understand how they spotted me, but I got kind of lucky that he didn't land. He hit the side of my armor and not the top. I don't know. I don't know how he spotted me there. Maybe through that little gap at the bottom. It's a huge tank. So we're pretty sure that the VK30 is somewhere's where I'm facing right now. Uh, there's no way to confirm it, but what happens in a second just about sells it to us. That right there. So I knew he was right there now. Now it's just a matter of time for waiting my AT2 to push up a little bit. Spots him. I don't remember how much alpha that thing has, so I don't poke out, but yeah, it's whatever. That game was just to showcase, you know, it, carrying basically. This tank's very good at carrying. I put out a lot more tanks than anyone else on the team. So on to the next game. Alright guys, so this game's mostly to showcase what this tank can do in some of the worst matchmaking you can get. So I'm in a tier 7 game. About a third of each team has tier 7s. So this is pretty brutal matchmaking. Like I've been saying in all these games, I'm going to hold back. I'm going to let the teammates move up and let my gun do the talking. Now, our team is pretty good compared to theirs. So it's fairly obvious how the results are going to go here. XVM isn't always reliable, but it is a good indicator of how games usually tend to go. So I'm trying to get shots on these guys going up the hill. It's just, you know, basic camper tactics. I'm looking for things to do. Not finding anything. And bam, get a shot on Dicker Max, 310 alpha. And we hit a track. Churchill 1 doesn't want to move up, and now I decide it's time for me to start pushing. So I make my way to the left because I want to support the team. I get a hit on the OI, I bring him down some, and now it's just the KV1. I'm going to back him up though. Bam. Unfortunate, but Churchill still died. And this game's gonna get wrapped up. This game, I mean, I just wanted to show it because of the alpha. Like, look at this. This is the main part right here. The fact that I'm doing just as much alpha to this T29 as he's doing to me. Now I'm shooting just as fast as he is. I was gonna try and ram him, but I decided to just hit him. This game, I did 1,700 damage in a tier 7 game. Half of that was to a T29. That's the power of this tank. If you want to poke with T29s because you don't have a choice, you have to, well, guess what? You're going to do at least just as much damage as he does to you. Well, in fact, more. You're going to do more. You're going to average 900 damage against him for him to kill your 700 HP tank. That you really do have a lot of versatility with this tank just because of the gun. So with that, we'll move on to my final conclusions about this tank. Alright guys, so my final conclusions about this tank. I forgot to mention it, but this is my equipment layout. Gun laying drive, rammer, and super heavy spall liner. Spall liner coupled with the large first aid kit really makes it so that the crew, it seldom gets injured. We have a full stat crew. Yeah, they're on their way to getting their first perks and skills to 100%. But honestly, this tank doesn't need them. This tank is quite sufficient even with only 100% crew. I wouldn't recommend playing with anything less than 100% crew. Really does hurt how well a tank plays. So if you're putting a brand new crew in, guys, I always recommend at least doing the 75%. You're still going to suffer a little bit, but you know, just what can you do? So yeah, this tank in a nutshell, I would say is exceptional, and it's all down to the gun. The gun is what makes this tank. The armor is pretty poor. You guys saw I seldom bounced any shots in those replays. Um, Most of the times, if someone shot at me, they were going to pen. And that's just what you're going to have to deal with. One thing I didn't mention in the replays is how tall this tank is. This tank, it gives you some more flexibility in that regard because you're going to be able to poke over hills that otherwise you might not have been able to. But you also won't be able to hide behind hills that otherwise you might have been able to. So it's a double-edged sword. Um, another thing I forgot to mention was the stock gun. So the stock gun on this tank's interesting because it's a derp gun. Um, has 360 alpha and 140 with gold pen. So if you're willing to deal with the atrocious accuracy of .54, his stock gun's not that bad. Even with only 60 pen, I mean, at tier 5 games, you're still gonna pen a lot of tanks, and it's gonna do 360 alpha. That's crazy. That's if you use the gold on this gun, you will two-shot other OIs. Probably about 6 times out of 10. So that's something to consider, guys. So yeah, the OI experimental. It's a good tank. I like it. But I'm curious to see what the OI is like. Every video I've watched, everything I've seen indicates that this is just a KV2, a bigger, more heavily armored KV2. So we'll see. I'll be giving you guys a review of that probably within a week or so. I've got to unlock it and then unlock everything so that I can give you guys the most accurate review. But by all indications, this tank looks like it's going to be pretty good. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Any criticism is welcome right now. I'm trying to build this channel up as quickly as possible, and the best way to do that is with your guys' participation. So if you like what you see here, let me know with a like. If you dislike something, go ahead and throw the dislike anyway, but also tell me why. That way I can improve these videos as fast as I possibly can. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Peace.